Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the LSU Sports Insider postgame show here from the NCAA Baseball Regional. I'm Zach Ewing, along with Reed Darcy. We are both of The Advocate. This postgame show is brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake Health, official championship healthcare provider of LSU Athletics. And Reed, I'm still kind of stunned at what just happened here at Alex Box Stadium. Little Rock 10, LSU 4. The Tigers do not finish off the regional tonight. We will be back tomorrow night. All is not lost, but all seems rather confusing.
I did not think we would be standing here tonight talking about this kind of result. If you listen to the post-game show last night, I kind of sounded like basically I was assuming it was a foregone conclusion that LSU would win tonight. I guess I learned my lesson the hard way. You know, it's baseball, and you know, crazy things can happen. This qualifies as something pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to say LSU is not immune to this.
Yeah.
Number one team in the country, number one seed, Vanderbilt lost. Didn't even make their regional final. They lost to Wright State. Number two seed, Texas, they lost in their regional final to UTSA. They're done. It's certainly not the only team that is in this position. There's like 6 games tomorrow, winner-take-all games. None of those teams lost to a team that was 19-32 in the regular season, like Little Rock was.
Little Rock finished 8th place in the Ohio Valley Conference. They were dead last among the teams in the tournament field in RPI.
They almost didn't make it. They were like tied. They won. They made it by percentage points.
They only got in because they won their conference tournament. They won all 5 games they played in the Ohio Valley Conference tournament.
But what I'm saying is they almost didn't make it to the Ohio Valley Conference tournament.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
like they were tied with, I don't even know who it was, finished 9th place, and it was a situation because of rainouts. One had played more games than the other, and they had percentage points. That's all. That's the only reason they were playing in their conference tournament, much less getting here. Now and we're standing outside the Little Rock dugout here, and there were still a few players and coaches milling around when I got down here to set up. They're on cloud 9, man. Like it doesn't matter what happens, and that's a dangerous team to play because they're just playing free. They got nothing to lose. LSU, when they fell behind in this game, and we can go through it a little bit, but you could kind of feel the pressure. The crowd started getting upset at every close ball strike call that didn't go LSU's way. I think the players started to buy into it. They had the bases loaded in back-to-back innings and couldn't score. Like, the pressure started to mount. And if you don't get out to a big lead early tomorrow, that's just going to get worse.
The crowd here was pretty agitated. It got to a point where they got pretty frustrated, and you could tell that collectively there was a lot of frustration there with how it was going. I saw a stat on the ESPN broadcast that Little Rock is now the first 4 seed to come into Alex Box Stadium, play LSU, and win a regional game against LSU. So
amazing.
It's just wild the way that it happened. I don't think any of us expected it, especially after the game started and LSU goes up 3-0 in the first inning. You know, it seems like, okay, the offense is clicking. You know, Little Rock is short on pitching. You know, they're playing their 4th game already, and then they're running out of arms. And LSU's offense is going to come in and take care of business. And that is not what happened. It changed pretty quickly after that.
Little Rock's team ERA coming into this weekend, and this is after a good week at the conference tournament. Their team ERA, I believe, was 6.33 coming into this weekend as a team. And they've played 3 games already before tonight, so all their top pitchers are unavailable, presumably. And they were just throwing out anything. The guy who started the game tonight, you may have the box score in front of you. I can't even think of his name.
Noah Burke.
No, yeah, he had like 7 strikeouts and 12 walks in 16 innings or something. His numbers were terrible.
He had only thrown 16 innings all season.
And to be fair, LSU got after him. They scored 3 runs in the top of the first inning. LSU was the visiting team tonight, and it's 3-0. I didn't look at a sports book. I would imagine you couldn't even have gotten a bet on this game at that point because the outcome was so, locked in that LSU was just going to cruise through to the super regional. Like we see so many of these top seeds do when you get out to a lead. Like Little Rock, they won their game. I mean, I think a lot of people were surprised. I did look at a sports book. They were 13-1 to beat Dallas Baptist in the first game today. They win that game 8-6. Obviously, Little Rock's on a heater, but if you're LSU, like we talked about, the script Jay Johnson would have written, it just continued through an inning tonight. You get 3 runs in the top of the first. Jaden Newt sets down Little Rock in the bottom of the first. No runs. LSU leaves a couple runners on in the top of the second. No problem. They're still off and running. And then everything changed kind of with one swing of the bat, and there's a little hole missing from the video board back there. I don't know if that's where Angel Cano's home run hit or not, but it hit somewhere off of that video board.
Yes.
And that kind of and Angel Cano, by the way, who's like, he's having a fine season. He had like 8 homers or something. He is on one holy hell of a heater. And he hit a 2-run bomb to make it 3-2 off of Jaden Newt. And then the next inning, he's the one who comes up with the bases loaded and goes opposite field into the right field corner to clear the bases, and all of a sudden flip this game on its head. It went from a 3-2 LSU lead to a 5-3 deficit, and they never recovered.
I wish I had Angel Cano's full tournament numbers or for full regional numbers on me right now, but he was 2 for 5 tonight with 5 RBIs.
He had 7 RBIs against Rhode Island in their losers bracket game on yesterday afternoon.
And the home run he hit in the second inning was a 2-run shot. That was his 3rd home run of the weekend. So he just caught fire. He got hot. And Little Rock as a whole, their entire team is hot, right? LSU shut them out when they played Friday night. And since then, they have scored 40 runs. They scored 22 against Dallas Baptist and then another 8 22 against Rhode Island, then another 8 against Dallas Baptist,
and then
10 again tonight. So that's 40 runs in 3 games. They're just red hot. And I believe, they've won 10 of their last – they've won 10 games.
Won 8 of their last 9 at least. 8 of their last 9, yeah. So, and the only loss was to Anthony Einson and LSU on Friday night. Now, I know there's probably a lot of scratching heads and surrender cobras and all that from the LSU fan base tonight, like what just happened. And I get that, because this is probably not a game that should have happened. But there's still a pretty good chance that LSU fans could look back at this night as a speed bump on the way to Omaha. I mean, LSU's still going to be a big favorite tomorrow night. They still have Zach Cowan and Kason Evans, who have not pitched in 2 weeks. They're going to be fresh. They could probably each throw 4 innings if they're pitching well and get you through most of tomorrow's game. Little Rock has no pitching. In fact, I heard one of their coaches talk to one of their pitchers and ask him if he had how he felt and if he had 3 outs in him tomorrow. I mean, like, they are anybody who could pitch them an inning will pitch tomorrow. But again, you're talking about a team that's playing with nothing to lose. But if LSU can win, they'll play West Virginia in the Super Regional next weekend. West Virginia came back and beat Kentucky in the Clemson Regional Final, scored 6 runs in the 8th inning and won that game. So LSU will be favored in that too. Like this, there's a chance we just look back at this as a very strange speed bump.
Sure, it's going to come down to Kason Evans and Zach Cowan, right? I thought last night that there was a chance we'd seen them today, that Jay Johnson would throw both of them out there and try to shut the door tonight. That was kind of, a bit of a risk, I would assume, because, what if they come out? What if they struggle? And then you have nothing left behind them for Monday. So he decided to play it safe and see what his other relievers can do. And obviously it didn't work out, and he now has Evans and Cowan to fall back on. So it's really going to come down to them, and it's going to be those 2 pitchers against Little Rock's red hot offense that hasn't showed any signs of slowing down so far. So it'll be up to them. I think, moving forward, big picture wise, we know what Cade Anderson is. We know what Anthony Einson is. But does LSU have, that third guy? I think it's kind of been a theme all season, trying to figure out who that third guy was. At the start, we thought it might be Chase Shores, then it kind of fell out a little bit. Maybe it was Kason Evans at one point. And then he had some up and down. So still trying to find that third guy who they can throw out there on a Sunday like this and get them through a good solid 4 or 5 innings, maybe, right? They're still looking for that. And that's probably okay. They're not saying they can't find it, but we know what the first 2 pitchers are. What exactly does LSU have behind them? And is that enough for them to get through a super regional or even get through a few rounds of Omaha?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the pitching depth of this LSU team as a strength. Didn't really seem that way tonight, although I still kind of think it's more of an offensive problem. You got to score more than 4 runs against a Little Rock staff that's decimated. I don't know. They left a ton of runners on base. You had again, that guy, Angel Cano, makes a diving catch at first base that turns into a double play when it looked like LSU was ready to rally, I think, in the 7th inning. And I do think, like, hindsight's 2020. We could talk about Cowan and Evans and whether Jay Johnson should have gone to them. If LSU had gotten out to a lead, and they did get out to a lead, but if they gotten out to a lead, say, past the 4th or 5th inning, we were going to see Evans and Cowan tonight. They were going to pitch. But that never happened. And so at that point, Jay Johnson said, okay, we'll have to wait and save these guys in case we got to play tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm curious what Jay Johnson said in his post-game press conference. And luckily, we've got someone here.
We've got someone here who just spoke with Jay Johnson.
The person we were all looking forward to hearing from tonight.
And that's Koki Riley, our beat writer. So Reed's going to step out and let Koki step in here. And Koki, it's good to see you, even though you're wearing an ugly hat. It's okay.
Thank you.
Look, this one, you've been covering LSU baseball now for 4 seasons?
This is technically my 4th season, yeah.
4th season. This has to be the most surprising result you've covered. Am I fair in saying that?
The most surprising consequential result. I mean, there was like a 12-5 loss to Southern.
But see, that's why I'm saying that doesn't count.
Northwestern State game this year. Like there's been some games like that, but
you can just throw those games away. LSU didn't.
Yeah.
They're not trying to win those games at a certain point. They were trying to win this game and got beat by a red hot Little Rock team, but a Little Rock team that nobody expected to even be here.
Yeah, exactly. A Little Rock team that had to win 5 games in 4 days to even get here. A Little Rock team that went 8-16 conference play. A Little Rock team that has the lowest RPI among any team in the field. And LSU had all the pitching. Little Rock had played literally an extra game. So you would have thought they had every advantage you could ever possibly want heading into this game, and yet still
baseball, man. Sometimes
10-4 loss.
You can't predict ball. That's what we'd say. But I came to the ballpark tonight thinking, obviously knowing Little Rock had defeated Dallas Baptist, thinking what a break for LSU. To play Little Rock, a team that's 7 games under 500, to go to the Super Regional. That's one of the most fortunate draws of all time in the NCAA baseball tournament. Silly me, of course. Little Rock's red hot. Angel Cano has 15 RBIs in this tournament or something. Now I don't remember how many he got earlier today, but he had 7 yesterday. He had 5 in this game, and he at least had a couple, I think, against Dallas Baptist this afternoon. So Reed and I were just talking about the Cowan and Evans phenomenon. You were speaking to Jay Johnson. How was Jay after this game? What did he say about I know he didn't comment on pitching plans, but what was his attitude like after this one?
I asked Jay if there was any consideration of actually starting Cowan or Evans in this game, because I think that would have been the move to get those 2 guys in, because once the game started to sort of slip through LSU's fingers, they were down by enough runs to where it didn't really make sense to put them into the game in the 4th and the 5th inning to chase a game where you already have a game 7 tomorrow. It just doesn't make any sense. If you wanted to get off to a good start, you could have started one of those 2 guys, probably Evans, since he's already started a few games, but they decided not to do that. And they liked what Jaden Newt has done the last month or so. I can't totally blame them for that. But at the same time, it's not like Evans and Cowan have been excellent this entire season. And they were definitely options for them. And apparently they did consider them, but that just was not the direction they went in tonight.
How about just general attitude from Jay Johnson and the players who were in the press conference? I mean, do you see any? I mean, obviously they're not going to say they're panicked, but did you sense any under the surface in between the lines?
No, we only got one player to be fair. So we got Cooper Williams was the one player.
Okay.
He got a few questions, and a lot of it was based around his good performance. He probably had the best performance of the night.
Yeah.
3 2/3 scoreless innings from him. But from Jay, it was very straightforward, acknowledging that they didn't play well in this game, especially on the mound. But, honestly, he didn't get a lot of questions. There just wasn't a lot of time for the media to actually dive into what happened in this game, which as someone, I mean, I don't want to say boo-hoo me as the journalist, but you, the fan, deserve to know what happened in this collapse.
Is that just because the answers were so short and to the point that no matter what you asked, you weren't getting answers, or why was it so?
There just weren't a lot of opportunity to ask questions. They cut us off at around 8 minutes total, and that includes Cooper Williams and
past
includes
midnight.
Jay Johnson.
Yeah.
And I know it's past midnight, but I mean, we were here past midnight last night as well when they won, and we got roughly 20-25 minutes with them. And I think it's just fair to actually spend the time with the media, to spend the time for the fans to understand what happened in a game like this when they spend hundreds of dollars and put all of this effort and energy into rooting for this team, I feel like they deserve an answer for after a game like this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And there are going to be some serious questions, and I want Scott Rabelais here. I'm going to get him on in a minute to talk kind of about a bigger picture perspective. But let's dive into tomorrow real quick. We don't have a game time yet.
We actually do.
Okay.
8 o'clock on ESPN2.
Another 8 o'clock start, yeah.
We're going to be back here at the strike of midnight.
Yeah, another
once
24
again.
hours from now, we'll either be saying what a weird night last night was and how relieving it is for LSU fans, or we'll be talking about one of the biggest postseason disasters in the history of this athletic department. I mean, like, I don't want to overstate things. And again, we'll talk to Rab, but I think that's what this would be. So I don't know, Koki, at this point I'm done predicting, but what's your thoughts on tomorrow?
I mean, they have every advantage once again with Cowan and Evans available. Like they're your third and fourth best pitchers.
You weren't here, but I was saying
Little
Rock's coaches are literally, I'm hearing them ask their players in the dugout if you've got 3 outs in you tomorrow. Like, I mean, they're just searching for people to pitch. Probably bringing back some people maybe who pitched on Friday at this point. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, this was an 8-16 team in the Ohio Valley Conference. Like, you should be winning these games by 10 runs just based on pure talent alone. And then when you add in the pitching advantage, it's like, yes, Little Rock's playing while they're hot. Like, we should give them at least some credit. But you cannot lose. What happened tonight cannot happen again.
No.
Or else we're going to be asking some pretty major questions about this program.
If you thought the pressure was on tonight, it'll really be on tomorrow night if LSU falls behind. So, Koki, we're going to let you go. You know, it's been a lot of late nights and another one coming tomorrow, and we're going to bring Scott Rabelais on to complete the postgame show here. Our LSU Sports Insider postgame show is brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake Health. They are the official championship healthcare provider of LSU athletics. He is the official sports columnist at The Advocate, Scott Rabelais. Rab, I just said this to Koki. I don't want to overstate. If LSU cannot pull this out tomorrow night, it has to be one of the biggest failures in the history of the athletic department. I mean, I don't know. You know the short list better than I do, but to lose to a team that came with a losing record with a national championship hopeful team would be a complete abject disaster.
Yeah, I mean, certainly for for this program, which has had so much success, and it's got that billboard out there with the 7 national championships on it. Yeah, it would be the worst meltdown in this program's history in the postseason play. Like you said, you have a loss like the Northwestern State loss in the regular season or something like that, but those don't really matter. This is when it counts, and this is when you're judged, and this is why LSU is considered a top flight national program. Supposed to win these things, and you know, I don't care. I don't think any LSU fan watching or who was at the game tonight or is going to read what we write, in the paper or online is going to care that Little Rock is hot and all this stuff, and Canoes are playing great and stuff like that. They don't care about that. This is as Koki said, the team with the worst RPI in the NCAA tournament at 243 coming in here, 243, and they should not be even playing with you, much less beating you by 6 runs. It was just a very poor effort tonight, and I still. Maybe I'm dense. I still don't understand why you don't start Cowan or Evans and then go from there, in this game. Then instead of saving them for the if necessary game. The if necessary game maybe doesn't become necessary. But then again, the offense didn't really do that much. They only scored 4 runs for them.
I mean, that's
so
the thing.
You could have wasted both those guys and still lost 5-4 and still would be in a
then
worse
you're
fix.
and then you're in worse position tomorrow. I mean, to me, this game changes a little bit in the third inning. It changed a lot in the third inning. Chase Shores came in and put out the fire in the second inning.
He did.
And it was 3-2.
And that was a good guy to bring in.
And I really think if Shores can get through the third, certainly if he can get through the third and the fourth, then it's Cowan and Evans time. You go one of them for 3 innings, you go the other for 2 innings, you try to slam the door. But once LSU lost the lead, like Koki was saying, you kind of have to hold back Cowan and Evans and say, well, hold on a second. We might have to play tomorrow. Let's wait and see if we get the lead. And LSU never got the lead. And that's kind of where I want to go with this because, like, look, we talk about it's a disaster if they lose tomorrow, and it's a stain on this program that, I don't want to say it never comes out, but people will remember it for a long time if you can't get out of this regional. But having said that, if LSU comes out and scores 6 runs in the first inning and wins tomorrow 11-1, this is just a little speed bump. It's a blip on the radar. People will just kind of remember it as a weird night, and that's okay. What I want to get at is the way that it felt in here, because once LSU left the bases loaded in those back-to-back innings and sandwiched in between that was the 4-run inning that gave Little Rock the lead. the attitude in this place changed. I mean, it was anguished. Every ball and strike call was a situation to yell at the umpire.
I'm almost surprised Jay didn't get thrown out for arguing balls and strikes at some point.
It was. I mean, everybody was groaning and moaning. I'm surprised there wasn't some booing at the end of the game. And you could see the LSU players kind of tighten up too as things started. Not all their fault. Like Derek Curry hit a ball all the way to the wall, and then, in his next at bat, no, it wasn't him. Milam was on first base and gets doubled off on a great play by Cano again. Like things happened that were unlucky, but I also feel like the players could feel the pressure mounting.
Yeah, and that mounts tomorrow. I mean, you go into this next game, as Kirky said, still advantages for LSU. They have to be the visiting team again, which I think is one of the most ridiculous rules in sports that you can.
Yeah, I don't understand.
You can play well enough to do enough to earn a national seed, not just host a regional, but earn a top 8 national seed, and you got to be the visiting team twice.
They reward teams. Just an aside on that, they try to reward teams for a 56 game regular season plus conference tournament with, well, hey, you could host the regional and super regional. It's very important to win these regular season games, and it's like, okay, playing at home in front of your crowd is a big advantage, certainly here at the box. But when you mute all of that by making them be the bat first in half of their games, and on top of all of the, the announcing and stuff has to be equal, and the announcer can't. And that part I get a little bit, but you're saying, okay, you can be at home, but we're going to take all the advantages of home field away, except for the crowd.
They used to make LSU take the visitors' dugout in those situations. They stopped doing that a number of years ago, but at least LSU gets to use their regular dugout. They did tonight, and they will again on Monday. But it's just, they try to even out too much. Then play the whole thing on a neutral site if that's what that's what you want. But they don't want to do that because they want the gate. So it's there's still advantages for LSU, but the pressure is enormous on the Tigers at this point. I mean, you say if they tightened up in this game, I think the first few innings of tomorrow night's game will be.
You don't get out to a lead.
Yeah,
it's going to get tight fast.
Yes,
it's going to feel late early. Yeah,
exactly. And I've LSU has been in this situation. I looked it up. 24 times they won the first 2 games of the regional. Only twice have they not gone on to win that regional. And of course, it couldn't have been more impressive, really, than winning 7-0 and 12-0. First time they've had 2 shutouts to start a regional or a super regional, and. Then you think, well, where's the rest of the pitching? So there's still a lot of pitching left. They can still hit the ball. One thing that struck me about this team at times this year, Zach, they've had a great record and a very good season overall to this point. But it just seems like when the pressure is when they feel like it's kind of they've gotten something done, they don't kind of follow through. Like against Arkansas, played very well in the first 2 games to beat Arkansas that series. The third game, it just seemed like there was that intensity. Won the game that. You beat Texas A&M in a close game in the SEC tournament, which looked like definitely locked up a national seed, top 8 seed for them, and didn't play well. Got beat 2-0 by Ole Miss. The offense can go in the tank, and I tell you what, it's one of their best offensive players,
Jared Jones.
Only has 2 hits, and one of them tonight was a flare in right field that could have been caught for the same price.
The right fielder didn't see it at first, and so it fell in. Yeah, and he came up in a big spot. Derek Curry got walked intentionally to get to Jones, which you would there are times you would never walk someone intentionally in front of Jared Jones. But Little Rock said, we'll face that guy, and they struck him out on 3 pitches. It feels like somebody's got to get a big hit early, get the crowd into it, get a lead, and kind of flip the pressure. Because this is the thing about Little Rock. Are they a good team? No. We know they're a hot team, and they're dangerous because they're playing totally free right now.
Sure.
This team could lose 27-0 tomorrow and still go home totally happy. They're playing with house money.
Yeah, yesterday they beat Rhode Island to win their first NCAA tournament game in program history. Today they made their first regional final by beating Dallas Baptist, and now they have a chance.
Now they have the most famous win in program history.
Now they have a chance to make a super regional. Now, do you let them become Wright State, which eliminated Vanderbilt today, and then got eliminated themselves?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they made history by knocking out the number 1 overall seed before they got to the regional final. Do you let them do that, or do you let them just say, "Hey, man, what a great postseason we had. Yeah, we came up short, but it's LSU." I don't know. I at this point, standing here with you, Zach, at 12:36 in the morning, I just don't know what the answer is going to be.
It's going to be fascinating, and we'll be here to follow it. And again, like I say LSU's got to get off to a good start, because if you're up 7-1 after 4 innings, then then I think Little Rock probably starts to just, you know what a great ride we've had, and maybe the intensity kind of drains. I say that it was 3-0 after an inning tonight, and I thought maybe that would happen for Little Rock, and it didn't.
Yeah.
So if you can get a little bit later into the game and maybe push that lead out a little bit more, I think LSU will be fine. If it's a close game, when we're singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" tomorrow night, like there are going to be some chewed off fingernails in this house.
Yeah, I mean that's just not a good position for LSU to be in. They need to get out and get a lead, like they did against Dallas Baptist. That was kind of the talk about that game too. Boy, Dallas Baptist can make it tough on you because they were a 40-win team. If you let them get a lead early, but LSU did not. Of course, didn't let them score at all.
Yeah, and they played add-on. They didn't do that.
You've already done enough. You've already done plenty to let a massive underdog have confidence. You can't give them any more confidence. I think the start of the game tomorrow night will be very, very important on the mound and in the batter's box for LSU. And again, one swing by Jared Jones, he could knock a ball over the fence and just gets his confidence back, and it's a totally different feeling. So, but boy, it's just it shouldn't come to this. It shouldn't have come to this for LSU. I don't care how hot Little Rock is or anything like that. It shouldn't have come to this for LSU. But here they are, and they've got to go out and perform like a team should. But we've seen plenty of top 16 seeds lose already in this tournament, so it would be kind of par.
And maybe it'd be good for LSU if they can come through this and be okay on the other side, feel a little pressure and perform. But that's a good way to end it. It shouldn't have come to this, but it has. We will be back tomorrow night with the LSU Sports Insider. We're going to try to do a pregame show tomorrow, too. I'm going to put that out into the universe so that I actually get here early enough to do it. And then we will, of course, have the postgame late night. We thank you for joining us. Thanks to Reed Darcy and Cookie Riley for stopping by. Our thanks to Our Lady of the Lake Health, our sponsor. He's Scott Rabelais. I'm Zach Ewing. And most of all, our thanks to you for hanging out with us this late after a frustrating loss. We will see you tomorrow for Game 7 of the Baton Rouge Regional. And once again, got to go off camera while Rab smiles to end the recording here. Nobody works this late except for us. So good night, everybody.
Thanks, Zach.